Hello everyone and welcome back to another World Cup match review. What a way to kick off day 6 of the tournament. Two absolute heavyweight nations coming toe to toe, and it would be Kylian Mbappe's France prevailing 3-1 on the day. A colossal performance with who else but the French superstar, the main topic of conversation, scoring a brace, becoming France's all-time leading goal scorer, France's all-time leading World Cup goal scorer, and scoring the 50th goal of the tournament. Not a bad afternoon, just quietly. But before we get into the match itself, we gotta take a step back, right? Because going into this contest, this may have just been the most compelling watch from a neutral's perspective, right? In a newly expanded 48-team tournament, the one perhaps slight drawback is the lack of big group stage matchups. And whilst we've had a few, the likes of Brazil, Morocco, Japan v the Netherlands, that was another big one. I'm probably forgetting one off the dome. But this was perhaps the most high-profile matchup in the sense that you have the world number ones, France, a star-studded squad, an ensemble in the region of 1.5 billion euros coming up against the African champions. I did not mince my words there. A golden generation of Senegalese superstars, a squad that is full of quality front to back. Literally every area of the pitch has top players. This is one of the best African sides on paper I've seen in my lifetime. But going into this game, huge questions to be asked. Can this Senegalese team step up on the world stage? They were brilliant at AFCON, but can they match it with the best of the best? Whereas for France, all eyes are on that front four. Are they going to gel? Is it going to be free-flowing, beautiful football? Or is it going to be a Real Madrid-esque situation where you have a bunch of stars on the field all at once, but lacking that chemistry, that link-up, that understanding? Well, the team news came in, and yeah, as far as front fours go, on paper, they didn't come much stronger than France's, with Mbappe leading the line, Doué on the left, Olise on the right, and Dembele playing in this sort of 10 false 9 hybrid role. I was eagerly awaiting all four, but having watched the first half, oh boy, it was a comprehensive disaster. Football really is a funny thing, because if you tuned out of the first half, you'd be convinced that France are cooked. They're going to accomplish nothing this tournament because they were atrociously bad. Between Kylian Mbappe's touch was all over the place. Olise, nowhere to be seen. Same with Dembele. Doué, on the other hand, had the ball more than any other attacking player, but was so careless in possession, was so lackadaisical on the ball. And France, as a collective, were being outclassed by Senegal. Senegal got their approach right. They were very disciplined. Their midfield trio of both Guéhis and then Lamine Camara were really organized in that midfield three, dominated the midfield battle. Rabiot and Tchouaméni were really struggling. And yes, Senegal were on top. Both fullbacks were bombing on non-stop. Side note, how good is Diouf as a left-back, man? Genuinely, he has one of the best deliveries in world football. You just know that every big club is going to be sniffing after this bloke in the upcoming transfer window because he is sensational. One of the best crossers of the ball in world football right now. But yeah, Senegal were clearly the better side in the first half. Nicholas Jackson coming up with a big chance, going 1v1 against Upamecano and then hitting the post. So unfortunate not to score there. And then just on the stroke of halftime, Senegal with a huge opportunity as Sarr channeled his inner Ferran Torres and fired over the bar from close range. A moment that would prove to be a huge missed opportunity in hindsight. But we go into halftime and France are in panic mode, right? They have been outclassed by Senegal from minute 1 to 45. There has been no semblance of chemistry, identity, or attacking threat of any kind in that first half. It was truly as bad as it could be. I believe they had one shot in total and 0.02 XG. Yeah, it was that bad. So I was anticipating that Deschamps was going to hook one or two big names. We've seen it before. Remember in the 2022 World Cup final. So I was anticipating that either Doué or Dembele would be hooked at the halftime break. But fair play to Deschamps. Maybe this is why I will never be cut out from management, because in my mind, there wasn't a more logical solution than to hook one or two players. The front four was atrociously bad, but Deschamps backed his players. He didn't make any subs, and the same team came out in the second half, and immediately There was a stark difference between that first and second half. Doué comes out with an early chance. Then Mbappe gets his first real opportunity. But there was one sort of tactical adjustment of sort from Deschamps that I think really opened up this game. Elise in that first half was a ghost. He was hugging the touchline. He was not getting involved. Granted, no one was really performing at an acceptable level, but Elise was just not involved in this game in any capacity. The second half, however, we saw him drift into those more central areas and he started to create more opportunities. He started to get more involved. He started getting more touches on the ball. This is the type of player that thrives when his involvement increases because with every touch, he just looked that little bit sharper. He had that incisive through ball in his locker. And then there was a big chance shortly after. He plays in Mbappe, missed opportunity. That was a big one. That was Mbappe's first real attempt. A good save from Mendy. But from there, France didn't stop. A big moment then arrives as Mbappe picks up the ball on the edge of the box, strives inside the penalty area, and Senegal's captain, Sadio Mane, proceeds to make a rash challenge. VAR is called to the screen. And after an extensive look, the referee makes a big call. He communicates to the entire stadium that Mbappe initiates the contact and so no penalty is given. Now, look, when it comes to subjective refereeing interpretations, I'm not one to usually hyper-focus on it because ultimately, some people may see it as a pen, some may see it as a perfectly good tackle. I was kind of baffled with this decision just quietly. I thought Mane doesn't get anywhere near the ball. I don't think there's a lot of contact, but I completely disagree with the notion that Mbappe initiates the foul. You can see when it's slowed down, he does clip his left leg. It's not a dirty tackle or anything like that, but it's very, very naive from Mane. And so in my opinion, he was lucky to get away with it. But unfortunately, from Senegal's perspective, that was only the beginning of the carnage to unfold. As shortly after, it would be Elise picking up the ball in space and finding an incisive pass for Mbappe, who made no mistake, opening France's World Cup campaign and equaling Olivier Giroud's all-time record of 57 goals. A huge moment, a brilliant finish too, quite similar to Musiala's yesterday, the way he just takes it first time. That is not an easy strike to execute, so a huge moment. You could see from then on the relief within that France team. It really felt as though that moment was huge for France's confidence because from then on in, they took full control. Granted, the game had expanded in that second half. I was surprised with Senegal. They were so organized, disciplined, and defensively assured in the first half. But the second, it was so open. It was such an expanded game. The midfield was non-existent at times. And France would soon capitalize to brilliant effect. A couple minutes earlier, Dembele was taken off for Barcola, and he'd come on and make an immediate impact. Rabiot with a beautiful defense-splitting ball, and Barcola, player that is frequently scrutinized for his actual end product, his finishing. But in this case, his finish was as cool and calm as collected as you'd like, dinking it perfectly over Mendy's head. A beautiful goal. Great moment for Barcola. Many are anticipating a big transfer this window for the Frenchman, the likes of Liverpool. I know Bayern Munich have been after him in recent years. Following that moment, it's probably add another 10 mil to his price tag, I reckon. I feel for Barcola at times. But anyways, France maintained their control. However, late on, Senegal got a second lease of life. They brought in their own wonder kid sensation, Ibrahim Bay, another PSG youngster who would come in and make a huge difference, skinning Theo Hernandez before letting fly just inside the box. A beautiful strike, one that would find the back of the net, making it 2-1. Question marks to be had about Maignan. I personally think he could have saved that. He'll be a little disappointed. He made up for it shortly after. However, that would not be all she wrote as Kylian Mbappe, the guy just had to make it about him, didn't he? In the last minute of the game, Olise found him in space, and the Frenchman would then launch one from 35 yards out, hitting the back of the net. An absolute belter to close out the show, to give France the full 3 points, a 3-1 victory, becoming the all-time leading goal scorer, overtaking Fontaine's France record in the process of 14 World Cup goals. He's now 2 shy of Miroslav Klose's record. This guy, man, love him or hate him, he is vintage World Cup. When it comes to the biggest stage, He always seems to deliver. You cannot count this man out. Even though he had an abysmal first half, I'm sure he'll be the first one to admit that. Once the moments came, he managed to put that behind him and deliver a phenomenal display. One that will give France loads of confidence heading into their final 2 games. You know, Senegal are a fantastic side. They're amongst Africa's best teams, a genuine dark horse nation, and obviously, they'll be disappointed to have taken nothing from this game. However, I thought they were very good for at least 45 minutes. But just that second half, they somewhat capitulated. Again, do you put that down to France's individual brilliance coming to the forefront? Or was this just a major lapse in concentration by Senegal? Either way, I still think Senegal are going to be a problem this tournament. I'm sure they can rectify those mistakes, tighten up in midfield, and they're a really, really strong team. I admire their willingness to attack and take it to, you know, a side like France, world number 1. Perhaps a little bit more pragmatism could serve them better, but full respect nonetheless. As for France, it's a great result. Yes, the first half was abysmal, but they put that to bed in the second and delivered a stellar performance in the end. More importantly, MBAPPE scored 2 goals. Olise had a fantastic game, 2 assists to his name. The confidence is brewing. You've got your substitutes making an impact. So for France, one of the favorites to go very far in this tournament, to come out with a big victory against a top team. Huge. Great way to kick off match day 6, a huge day of football in store. I'm going to try and cover as many games as I can. I obviously have DMAC Daily that I write each and every day, so it's quite difficult to get these match reviews. But let me know if there's any others that you really want me to cover in the upcoming days ahead. We're only 6 days in, but it's been a cracking tournament thus far. Anyways, that's all for today. That's all for this match review. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.